This is Sybert signing into Kane's Wrath on the map Tournament Highlands for a best of 5 1v1 on the left side as the Cyan Black Hand. This is Alibaster. And on the right side as the Pink Scrin, this is Thanatos, who I may end up just calling Thanos because that's what I always see when I see his name. I always think Thanos. Anyways, this is a best of 5 1v1 random v random. This is from the Nicesir Random v Random tournament. This is semifinal A. So we're going to see which of these two players makes it into the finals. And then we're going to take a look at semifinal B and see who else is going into the finals. It's $160 for first place, $80 for second, $30 for third, and then I believe there were some random prize drawings. And, you know, Kane's Wrath, Tib Wars, there's a degree of players play random anyways, so a forced random tournament isn't that bizarre, but, you know, it does definitely, there are certain players who, if they are playing a random v random series, maybe they lose 1 or 2 games, and then they switch to their favorite faction to give themselves a better fighting chance. Although some people think that if your opponent knows what faction you are, so if you've chosen your faction and you don't know what your opponent's faction is, that is a bigger advantage of not knowing your opponent's faction is a bigger advantage than getting to choose your faction. Operations Center before the expand, so a little bit slower expand, but of course, ooh, that does give him a Reckoner, and it looks like just a single Black Hand squad. But other than that, things are pretty even keel. Things are actually going to be dropping down his 4 bikes going to be coming in from Alibaster. You saw them heading out through the middle of the map a little while ago. Looks like Harvester pulled off the line a little bit. Great placement of that War Factory means the repairs are free and easy, and needs to go ahead and get that Harvester back to work now that the Seekers have been able to push away the bikes. And the bikes are going far enough, although they're looping back up to the north. If they get any shots off on this drone ship, could be problematic, but no, they are going to be skating away to the north. And, okay, the Reckoner over here going to be loading up this Black Hand squad. I guess the Black Hand squad is going to flame down the Tib Spike, which is always nice when you can clean up one of your opponent's Tib Spikes and stop them from getting that bit of income, especially if the game trudges on. Okay, he pops back out. He's going to finish off that the Tib Spike. He got in there, leaving it with you know, part of its health. And it was like, wait, you gotta kill that off, otherwise you don't really deny that income. Extra portal going to be coming down. Not sure if he actually produced anything with that, or if this is like maybe he's gonna go for descents as a panic option. 4 Seeker tanks on the left side of the map, but they're not gonna be doing anything just yet. Looks like the Tib Spike did end up going down, and the Reckoner actually turned north, but will be kind of getting pushed away by this Seeker tank. May end up just setting up shop next to this Spike, go for the guaranteed kill of the Tib Spike, and then leave the rest to history. Although it looks like he's trying to chase away. Yeah, he was trying to protect the Reckoner so that he could still run it into the base. And actually, he may be doing just that. Alibaster very nicely controlled there, keeping his Reckoner mobile. If it takes too much damage, then it does automatically transform into the bunker. He may not actually be able to escape, and this Tib Spike is definitely going down. So it was a very nice attempt to use that Reckoner as much as he possibly could, but Alibaster does get shut down by Thanatos in that sense, and extra War Factory going to be coming up. Additional bikes now here, 5 bikes and a buggy mixed in here. Going to be able to clean up 2 Harvesters very easily. His 3rd Harvester may end up going down as well, but no, 1 Seeker Tech may also be sacrificed into the meat grinder that is these bikes. Nerve Center is down, by the way, and he may actually just try and suicide for this last Harvester. And honestly, that might actually be worth it. He did lose a good bit there, but if he gets this 3rd Harvester, which he does not, if you get a 3rd Harvester, then that is a, you know, that is a decent portion of your opponent's economy. Although if you're just trading out Harvester for Harvester, the bike buggy may end up losing in this equation, depending on how many of these Seekers actually go down. And of course, the Reckoner Rush was partially stopped, but hey, Black Hand Squad can walk its way into your base, and it can flame down a power plant quite nicely. Even gets a Buzzer Hive as well, so that is cash down the drain. I mean, obviously the Buzzer Hive doesn't cost a ton, but it's still money that Thanatos had to spend that didn't do anything at all. Scorpion Tank's going to be able to deal with these Seekers without too much more trouble. A couple of very weak Seekers not really getting focused down until that last moment there as they do manage to escape. Looks like maybe a Buzzer or something was dealt with by that Cabal squad. And it looks like over here, the Black Hand squad did get eliminated. The Hero Gunwalker doing the work that needed to be done. And this Reckoner taking a couple of errant shots as they're just driving by, not actually sent to kill. Doesn't look like anyone's gone for specific grabbing of this blue tip, either in the north or the south, so no long-distance mining from these guys. I'm not super familiar with Alibaster or Thanos. I don't think I've ever cast them before, but in this case, they seem to be pretty evenly matched between the two of them, although perhaps the nature of the random v random led them to play a little bit more defensively in the early game. Always a danger playing up against a Nod faction, especially Black Hand, as, well, this War Factory will survive. Good bit of damage done to it, but the Storm Column was there in plenty of time. Couple of random 3 or 4, maybe? Yeah, maybe it was just the 3 Scorpion tanks spread out along the south side of the map, 3 along the north side as well. So the old adage of if you can sneak a couple of tanks into your opponent's base, you can sometimes do a bunch of damage. And flame tanks, that tends to work out a little bit better. Finally, that Reckoner did go down. But flame tanks, it tends to work out a little bit better. And nice sell-off. Just in time, he got the correct one. Occasionally, you'll see someone sell off the wrong one, or maybe sell off too many, but with the recent changes, somewhat recent changes to the radius of the Tib Catalyst missile, it actually isn't as big of a deal to hit just one of those refineries. They're spread nicely enough. Anyways, I've started like 4 different thoughts and not actually completed them recently, but flame tanks do a good bit of damage if you can sneak into your opponent's base. In this case, tripods and storm columns are making that much more difficult, although this last refinery will end up going down. Tripod's shields, it looks like, did just get reset there, as I think he actually already purchased force fields earlier in the game. We saw it being activated with these Seeker tanks. One Seeker tank going to be heading through the base of Alibaster, going to be kind of seeing what he can see. Epic units now on the way as Alibaster moves towards this big green field in the middle, although he does still have a significant amount of his natural expansion to harvest. These guys not doing a tremendous job of harvesting their natural expansions. You normally see it a little more absorbed by this point. Extra flame tank going to be getting tier 3. Almost a guaranteed kill on this tier 3, considering how far away everything is from stopping this. There's the cancel of that upgrade, and no more tripods for the next minute, so this is a big advantage for Alibaster, potentially, although no, his Redeemer engineering facility gets EMP'd, so he can't actually finish the Redeemer, and he doesn't have anything to respond to this in the middle of the map. Nothing in short order to deal with these tripods. He's got a couple of buggies, and for how much money he should have at this point in the game, he doesn't have much of an army to show for it. Yeah, obelisks are nice, but they do get EMP'd, which means these tripods are going to be even more effective than they would be otherwise. And of course, they can just continue to move on past this opening. Looks like the flame tank did get killed there. They can move on past this middle of the map and do more damage into the infrastructure of Alibaster. And Alibaster, if these power plants go down, that could be lights out for his defensive capabilities. Annihilator Tripod getting very low on health, and actually they all 3 do go down. So not a particularly well-executed attack, although this one has actually been grabbed by Alibaster. So he's reclaiming one of the husks from Thanatos, and will be able to use that in his own forces. I thought he had more tripods walking around the map. Did he really only have those 3 tripods? I don't know what that was. Like, there's not even 2 Tib spikes to capture. You could capture 1, sure, but You can't get both, and oh, kind of a curious move there. Buggies around the map causing all sorts of battle markers to flare up, although it's not actually any kind of action happening. And there's just a saboteur here, who must have been going for a husk that ended up getting struck down by that lightning spike. Looks like a couple of seeker tanks in the north going to be going for this is really the economic strength of Alibaster. So this is a great move by Thanatos, although it's kind of a long-term move because it doesn't do anything to stop the current army of Alibaster from tearing up the middle of the map. All of these harvesters going down 3 or 4. No, one of them will be able to escape, so at least 2 did go down, but a couple more may have been eliminated. Again, it doesn't do anything to stop the army in the middle of the map, which may be able to start carving away at the buildings that Skrin has dropped. Stasis Chamber gets deployed, although I don't know how much it will actually be coming into this game if it just gets eliminated pretty much immediately. He may have just done that for the support powers, but it looks like he hasn't actually done anything with it. MCV now under threat as Thanatos has one tripod marching around this battlefield, but not much more than that. No EMP coils on these Raider buggies, which means they're not going to be able to do anything to shut down these tripods or these units, but the MCV is down. There are 2 tripods on the side of Alibaster, paid for, of course, by Thanatos, and he will be... Thanatos, that is, won't have much in terms of defense. He does phase all of these units here, so he will be able to get very nice crushes on this infantry army, and the infantry army just stands there and takes it. No split until after the carnage has commenced. A couple of buggies could be getting crushed by this tripod, although the tripod is now just going to be backing away. Of course, buildings, they don't get phased, so don't have much opportunity to stop him from killing your infrastructure. Lightning Spike going to be coming down for Thanatos. Again, he's just trying to stop this attack. He's trying to pull it back from doing maximum damage, but in this case, there's not a whole lot that he can do. Thanatos has been defeated, and try as he might to stop that final attack, Alibaster had so much going for him, and part of the tale will be told by the last minute of resources. No, it won't. The tale will not be told by the resources at all. I thought that Thanatos would be ahead for the first part of the game, and then back here in the last couple of minutes, Alibaster would be really catching up and maybe even surpassing Thanatos. But no, this is purely a case of Alibaster had way less money for a good portion of that game. In the end, only 15,000 credits less, but for the majority of that game, running behind and then taking those last couple of tripods that he was able to capture with his engineers and making something happen with them. Big infantry swell, couple of upgrades mixed in there as well. You know, charged particle beam probably having something to do with the extra amount of damage he was able to put out, and then able to snatch up that MCV. Not necessarily the most technically well-played match or the fastest performance, but these guys are certainly much better than me, and definitely they seem very evenly matched, so we could be looking at a really good series on our hands. So let's jump into game number 2, which takes us to Tournament Dust Bowl, no poker. In the north as the blue Black Hand, this is Alibaster. Up 1-0, and in the south as the yellow, yeah, that's right, Skrin. This is Thanatos. So, random v random, they ended up with the exact same factions 2 games in a row. Which, apparently that worked out pretty nicely. And if this was any indication, if game 1 is any indication, then Alibaster is going to be looking at a very smooth 2-0 opening in this best-of-5 series. Looks like we've got 4 Descent Squads cutting over to the right side of the map. This is maybe more effective as Traveler 59, because, of course, you've got fast legs. But descents are descents, so if you are able to sneak some descents into your opponent's base, you can still do big damage even if they are slow descents. This is not 2015, where this is a bit more uncommon, where this was a bit more surprising, and maybe 2015 might even be too late. This is not 2013, when this was a bit more of a serious thing, you know, a descent rush. These days, it feels like I never see one of these do big damage because people always scout it. They always know the right places to send their units. You know, everyone always gets a couple of scouting units out. They know where to look, and then, yeah, they send out their buggy, and it's like, as long as you control your buggy well, you will kill these descents, and you should kill them before they get this tib spike. Now, if you aren't paying attention, then the descents will kill your buggy, and then they'll turn around and kill the tib spike anyways. But it just feels like recently, ooh, those Confessor grenades were maybe not quite as accurate as he had hoped. But yeah, in this case, you've bought so much time with these descents as well, and oh, there actually is only one buggy. I thought there was going to be a second buggy, but no. So, yeah, you know, he might actually be able to catch this buggy. Descent squads, it looks like all 4 of them have survived for now. They're starting to lose troops here and there, and Alibaster is being really cautious with that buggy, and you can see why. You know, he doesn't want to be losing too much more. There's the second buggy. Okay, so now he's pretty darn safe. Operations Center going to be going down. Looks like the MCV move was first, but of course it's a short walk to your expansion on this map. There, all the descents are down. Both buggies did survive. I guess that having that second buggy does make a difference, or maybe 2 Cabal squads, but having the second buggy really helps you cut down those descents, because when they're chasing one, the other one can be following them and killing them. So Buzzer does spot at least the second flame tank, probably saw the first one as well, and just like last game, Thanatos should know that this is an option. He should be on the hunt, on the lookout for these flame tanks. And, you know, it's not something that he's going to be necessarily have an easy time always staying vigilant looking for the flame tanks, but if he doesn't, then he opens himself up to a massive amount of damage sneaking in the back door of his base, and that is not an easy thing to keep an eye on. But in this case, Thanatos is actually doing a good job of keeping an eye out on those flame tanks. And of course, he did get the kill on the tib spike, so he's got the extra credits per second coming in every moment. So if he can stop that flame tank from killing that tib spike, that'll put him that much further ahead. Expansion up and running for Alibaster, and it looks like this first flame tank on the right side of the map won't quite do as much damage as he was hoping, but this one on the left side of the map also won't. Oh, he actually got it before it kills the tib spike, so ooh, things are looking good for Thanatos. Well played up to this point. Gets the kill on his opponent's tib spike, saves his own tib spike, shuts down both of those flame tanks, and now he has enough seeker tanks that, yeah, again, flame tank can still sneak in the back of your base, but it's easier to deal with when you've got this number of seeker tanks around the map. Although if you send them all in an attack, then there may still be an opportunity. No, that's actually a buggy on the left side of the map, not an extra flame tank. 5 Seekers on the left side, but there are tons more on the right side moving in for some potential big damage. First Seeker's going to be moving in. They're going to catch at least 1 Scorpion tank, maybe even a second Scorpion tank before they get eliminated. And second Scorpion does go down there. On the right side, it looks like the Seekers are going to be forced to pull back. Going to be activating big swarm of buzzers to deal with at least some of those rocket troopers. A couple more are going to be getting produced, and they will be able to fend off these seeker tanks for now. Dozer blades being purchased for these Scorpions, so a descent mix-in. If you mix in some descents with your seeker tanks, they're not going to be as effective versus those Scorpion tanks. Ooh, Secret Shrine up and running, so we do have, I assume, Confessor Cabals on the way for our eventual man spam transition. If you do not at some point dump a bunch of money into like 2 or 3 Hand of Nods, and then just, it's not actually that much money, but producing a whole bunch of rocket troopers as Black Hand, you are clearly missing out. I know there was a flame tank somewhere on the left side of the map. I don't know what actually happened to it. This buggy going in for the scout, potentially trying to see if the way is clear for that flame tank. For now, Harvesters just doing their thing, harvesting away for Thanatos very nicely. And of course, you saw the MCV on the move for Alibaster heading towards the 3rd base location. Going to be getting that up and ready, at least relatively soon. Same thing could be said for Thanatos over here on the right side of the map. He's going to need some more anti-infantry, though. He's going to need something else to deal with that infantry army that's headed his way. Two buzzer hives probably won't be enough, although if they are able to kind of pick apart this army, then that certainly will be enough. I keep expecting that flame tank to show up at some point. I'm not sure where it got bounced off to. I think both players are aware that their opponent is setting up a 3rd base, getting everything up and running. Force fields and shard launchers have been purchased by Thanatos, so he's got full upgrades on his tier 1 units, making them a bit more fearsome, but he's also got, of course, tripods walking around the map as well. Even a couple of mechapedes, so you may have noticed the dev tanks earlier. These are purely defensive dev tanks at this point. Going to be guarding his base and guarding his harvesters from any bike run-bys or any attempted small bits of harassment, but also just able to quickly deal with those flame tanks, as a flame tank can be dealt with in a couple of shots by a dev tank as long as there's no support for that flame tank. Mechapedes down here in the south. And, well, a little bit of an infantry army, a couple of scorpion tanks, but over here in the middle of the map, also a much bigger infantry army and a couple of scorpion tanks. Splitting his army, trying to find openings is Alibaster. As you can see, he was kind of trying to draw the army out of position and then sneak in with 4 or 5 scorpion tanks on the rightmost edge of the map, but it was thwarted by Thanatos. Both of these guys splitting their army relatively well, and this tripod actually taking some pretty big damage from those scorpion tanks, which means the flame tank may be able to do a huge amount of damage, and it looks like Thanatos may be spread too thin. This is a far-reaching attack coming in here from Alibaster, so it looks like the north will be defended, but down here, the original main base, the south, some of this infrastructure, and maybe even the tier 3 all the way over here at the 2nd base, excuse me, may end up falling, as it looks like in the north, flame tanks have been pushed back, at least for now. Mechapedes are storming on forward, but it looks like in the south, there's still a bit of infantry being able to push forward. There goes the nerve center. A couple more power plants could go down on top of that, but no, the gunwalkers have turned their attention to this infantry army, and, well, for now, they're going to be able to deal with it. Another power plant does fall. Not big losses just yet because the tier 3 hasn't gone down. Rebuilding the nerve center is annoying, but it's not the end of the world. And then, of course, over time, you'll want to reclaim this Tiberium here at your original main base, but that's not necessarily the biggest problem at the current moment. Well, the gunwalkers have been dealt with, it seems like, and scorpion tank's now going to be moving in. There are mechapedes. There is also a dev tank here, but the dev tank gets overwhelmed and destroyed before it can even use all of its Tiberium reserves. Engineer jumps into that tripod at just the last moment there and does manage to capture it, and the scorpion tanks will be dealt with, at least for now. No real harvester kills, it looks like, for those scorpion tanks. And somehow this infantry army has persisted. This one scorpion tank mostly dead, but still here. And now the tier 3 is under threat. Low power mode, so building the buzzer hives is a nice threat, but it doesn't do anything as more and more rank ups are being handed out to this infantry army. Double vet, fully heroic being given to these guys, and another power plant does go down. Wow, they burn through those power plants so fast. And eventually, this attack is thwarted, is pushed back, but wow, that did so much more damage than I was initially anticipating. I thought those gunwalkers were going to be able to just clear up the rest of those forces, and this has been a messy, scrappy game from these two guys. But the Redeemer is now out. Not loaded up with anything just yet. Looks like an engineer is standing by to hop inside. That Redeemer could then go ahead and potentially sell off. Well, for now, the Redeemer Engineering Facility isn't doing much at all. No, it's going to be Black Hand Squad and an engineer inside of this Redeemer, so classic moves there. For now, the Harvesters are trying to escape these Shard Walker Seekers, these Shard Seekers, as Shard Walker wouldn't make any sense in this case because they're not gun walkers. Mechapedes hanging out at home, and these couple of secret tanks, well, they're doing what they can, but I don't think they got any actual Harvester kills. They got very close to killing that Harvester, which was full of Tiberium. Needs to go ahead and unload and then get some repairs. Looks like this game is starting to calm down just a bit, although one random Confessor Cabal squad in the middle of the map, of course upgraded with that Black Disciple upgrade, can do a bit of damage, can be a bit sneaky. Single buggy heading through your base this late in the game. Is it a one-click? I don't actually know if he got the Tib chemical plant. And it looks like, no, I don't think he does have a Tib chemical plant, although he may be about to drop one. I don't know that he actually has the cash to do anything with it, though. 3 Seeker tanks in the north, of course, with that shard upgrade means they'll do a bit more damage, but they're still taking a bit of damage from a fully upgraded Confessor Cabal squad, which got half of the health of one of those Seekers. Not Shard, but Shredder turrets, rather, going to be able to deal with the rest of these Seekers, and they do actually manage to stop them. Buggy going down over there, a couple of Scorpion tanks in the middle of the map. It looks like a Confessor Cabal squad dealing with a Buzzer squad over there in the middle of the map as well. Mechapedes now going to be hunting Harvesters, as it looks like one Harvester went down, a second will be eliminated, and a third is under threat, a fourth also with low health, as this could be a lot of Harvesters being eliminated extremely quickly, and needs to just get out now, cut your losses, and run, which right now, the losses are, I think, nothing, because he just lost segments, which means, well, you know, it costs a little bit to rebuild the segments, but it's not that expensive considering you killed 4 Harvesters, which is a great move here, great blow to Alibaster's economy, and Thanatos, well, he's going to be able to head on back home, gets a couple of free Scorpion tank kills as well. What the heck, why not? He has held on to this Tib Spike for so long. This is a surprising amount of time, considering that it was under the threat of a flame tank, and it could have been probably killed at a number of points in this game. But, yeah. So those Tib Spikes, I don't know how long this game has gone on. You know, it's like he's had that Tib Spike for 10 minutes, so however much that adds up to over the course of this game. Looks like 3 Descent squads inside of this Eradicator Hexapod. Rage Gen does fire off, going to be resulting in a couple of deaths, mostly just infantry deaths, it looks like, although another buggy did end up going down. I don't think that's, you know, because of the Rage Gen, of course. Wouldn't make any sense, but, buggy does get eliminated there moments, I guess, before the Rage Gen Stasis Chamber, going to be locking down that Redeemer. And, well, if these tripods get on top of it, we could see a bit of an EMP chain action, and then the Redeemer just evaporate, which would mean that Thanatos would have a huge army advantage. I mean, he already has an army advantage, but it would be giving him that much more of an army advantage. With good opportunity, sometimes epic units can be used to single-unit defense in combination with something like Manspan, but oh my gosh. This Redeemer is just going down so quickly. It's not even a fight as the Redeemer gets eliminated, and this base is just going to evaporate. Thanatos has secured a, well, not just yet, but almost certainly has secured a very solid win in game number 2, bumping his score up to 1-1. Alibaster, if he is able to pull something out from here, it might be truly amazing to see, but Alibaster has been defeated. GG gets called, and Thanatos puts a point on the scoreboard. I almost said puts a point on the map, which doesn't make any sense, and that will even us up into a 1-1 situation. Thanatos ahead in economy the whole time, and Alibaster, I don't know if that this plateau here or that plateau there, one of those was probably when those 4 Harvesters went down, and it just flatlined his economy for a short while. But in the end, 40,000 credits, more stuff. Eradicator Hexapod was supported by tripods, whole bunch of gunwalkers, even some mechapedes, and that makes a big difference in, fighting when you have an epic unit versus an epic unit and an army to back it up. That will do it for game number 2. Let's jump into game number 3, which takes us to Tournament Rift. On the left side as the yellow GDI, this is Thanatos. Evening things up 1-1. And on the right side, That's right. As the Cyan Steel Talons, this is Alibaster. 1-1, and now instead of another Black Hand versus Skrin, we enter Steel Talons versus GDI. Traditionally, I would say Thanatos is going to be very happy with this matchup, but we've definitely seen many players win with Steel Talons, and Alibaster may be exactly the person to do that. But in this case, we will just have to see how this unfolds. Ooh, gets the drop on that squad in the north. It's 2 scouting rifleman squads for Alibaster way up there in the north, and it looks like Alibaster also protecting his engineer down here in the south. As far as I know, Thanatos is actually going to be able to grab the garrisonable structure, which makes this a more difficult equation for Alibaster. Thanatos just went for the 1 tib spike and the 1 engineer, while Alibaster went for the 2, and, extra 500 credits, what are you going to do with it? I guess he's either going to try and run around to the other spike or run and grab his opponent's spike. Yeah, he was going for the opponent's spike capture. You can see that, I think, with that rifleman squad there. And actually, this may end up working out barely one way or barely the other. Rifleman squad's going for the scout. Other than that, things are looking pretty bog standard in the main base of both of these guys. Ooh, except for this, no natural expansion for Alibaster, instead going directly to the middle of the map for his second base. Engineer now going to be coming in. Building is empty. Tib Spike is vulnerable, and MCV is on the move. Of course, you don't want to get caught on the rocks if you don't have to, but in this case, there aren't a lot of pit bulls to go for an easy kill of that MCV. And okay, now he does grab that garrisonable structure, so this engineer is trying to avoid getting shot immediately. Alibaster doing what he can. I think he dropped an extra, Thanatos rather, dropped an extra power plant, but Alibaster doing what he can to keep this engineer alive. And War Factory down on the front line, so this is going to be the second War Factory as Steel Talon starts pumping out Titans. Thanatos is going to need something to answer this with, and, no one likes to see... And where's this engineer going? No one likes to see their harvesters getting stomped to death by Titans. And that may end up happening, although... Ooh. Okay, so there is no natural expansion, at least not at the current moment. And this could be a sneaky engineer capture, going to be trying to run around the edge of the map and then go for the MCV or go for the tech, go for something valuable of Thanatos. It's double War Factory in the north. So, I mean, this isn't impossible, but this is a little bit strange for sure. Pitbull going for the scout over here on the right side of the map, and for now, the MCV has unpacked near the far side, on the far side of this tip field, so he could still go for a bit of... He could still go for a bit of a natural expansion here in the middle of the map. Checking up on that engineer, and we could be in a relatively normal 2-base situation. Not sure what that battle marker was over there. Rifleman squad is waiting for this engineer, so I think Thanatos is on to that. And, well, he may not have much to say about it if these Titans start putting a lot of pressure on him. And, no, he does grab the engineer. Okay, so we don't have to worry about that anymore. Predator tanks from the north going to be responding to these 3 Titans plus a Wolverine. I thought that Wolverine was another Titan, but it looks like it's going to be tight either way. One Titan does get lobbed pretty early, gets eliminated by those Predator tanks, and even this Wolverine may end up going down. It may be a little bit too slow. Nope, he will be able to escape, at least for now. Have the... Oh, the command post. Has it actually finished up AP ammo? It looks like no, the command post was actually for an airfield. So AP ammo not done, but the airfield and the Orcas are finished, which means these pit bulls now become very valuable for Thanatos. If he is able to keep those pit bulls alive, he can keep the Orcas at bay at least a little bit. And this rifleman may actually be getting a perfect scout off on these Orcas. These attempt at the sneaky Orcas, which are Sorkas, I believe is what you call those sneaky Orcas. Snorkas? As these pit bulls claim one Orca very nicely and are going to be able to hold off the other ones, and this may just turn into a slaughter when you dump this much cash into Orcas and then you get basically nothing for them. all of your Titans go down, and you've got just nothing left for these Predator tanks. So that could have definitely gone the other way if the Pit Bulls aren't there. Although an Orca Strike is going to be coming in for... Thanatos does take a bit of damage there. Alibaster gets a bit of a lucky strike there with that Orca Strike. And it looks like 3 of those Predator tanks are pretty low on health. Rifleman squad down here drawing the attention of Thanatos, as Alibaster is going to have to try and pull something out of this game. And the one nice thing for Alibaster is that he does have a very defended natural expansion, since it is his forward operating base in this game. Pit Bulls on this south side, going to be cutting down there and then potentially driving around to try and hit the unprotected expansion, or even going into the main base just to shut down anything that's there. Orca's now going to be coming in. This is what he wanted to do, is use the Orcas in concert with the Titans to deal with those Predator tank numbers, but it didn't quite work out earlier in the game, so he's doing what he can with it. Now these Titans are just getting cut to shreds, but they do get one Harvester. Thanatos not quite able to keep all of his Harvesters alive. Another Harvester very low on health could end up going down just to the Titans firing away at them. And yes, oh my gosh, these 4 Harvesters are so clumped up. They got so close to just getting crushed by that Titan outright, but they will survive for now. Up in the north, I'm not sure that they're... I think the Orcas actually eliminated a couple of Harvesters up here as well. So for now, it's going to be just 4 Harvesters on one field, which is way down from what you would normally want to have. A couple of these Predator tanks are very low on health, may end up dying just to splash damage from the Orcas. And the Orcas now going to be coming in, dealing big damage to a couple of those Harvesters, and he gets everything! Oh my gosh! Alibaster gets everything! As even an Orca Strike is totally unnecessary as a follow-up. It was necessary at the moment that he called it in, but it ended up not being necessary as all of the Harvesters get eliminated, and this game is suddenly turned around as... well, Thanatos has no economy. He's got this Tib Spike. That's his income. And I guess he's got this one Harvester now up and running versus everything that Alibaster has. 5 or 6 Harvesters away, getting this big field for themselves. So again, this turns into a situation where Alibaster doesn't have a very strong army. But if he can draw this game out a little bit, then suddenly his chances of winning go way, way up. Predator tanks getting picked off a little bit here by those Orcas. One Orca goes down, fires off a number of rockets, and 3 or 4 of these Predator tanks are extremely low on health, just a sneeze or 2 away from death, and this is exactly what Alibaster wants in this situation. Use a war factory to delay this even more. Lots of rifleman squads to clean up the rocket squads, and he is playing this out beautifully here. If he can get even 1 or 2 of these Predator tanks down with his rocket squads, then that's just adding, that's just the cherry on top, you could say. And I may actually get a... yes, he does! With just a loose rocket there at the last moment, manages to claim another Predator tank. Sells off, it looks like, the war factory on the back end. And it looks like for now he's been able to keep most of his Harvesters, if not all of his Harvesters, alive, just churning away so much Tiberium, putting it into his bank. And the comeback story for Thanatos is going to be this blue Tiberium. He's setting up in the middle of the map. He is going to be getting himself that double income for as long as he can. But Titans are now going to be turning his main base into mud as they just stomp all over everything, although it was sold off in time, so he does get a maximum value for his stuff. Predator tanks and rocket troopers going to be mounting a defense here in the south. Thanatos going to be doing what he can to preserve what little economy he can, although he's been able to rebuild a good bit, which means if he's able to keep this double income Harvester alive, he will actually be at, equal income of his opponent. And for now, the Harvester does survive. The Orca barely does survive as well, and needs to go ahead and maybe even trade that Harvester off. Send it off over to this base on the left side, and then transfer a fresh Harvester over there to the middle of the map, and then keep the Pit Bulls around for the defense. Alibaster feels like he's got an advantage, but I don't actually know if he will be able to finish this game up and stop Thanatos, because Again, Thanatos has carved out a little bit of space for himself. So if he's able to even things up, then he may be able to pull this game back. Predator tank very low on health, will go down almost immediately to those Titans. It does pull back very nicely. Reinforcements being called in for Thanatos, going to just try and overwhelm the Titans with sheer numbers of infantry. He doesn't care that he's not Black Hand. He, of course, is just going for pure numbers. And, of course, that's one of the nice things about being able to drop those buildings is it does so much to block the infantry from being able to attack. But in this case, this MCV may actually be caught too far out in the open. No, it's going to be rocket squads. I thought it was going to be an engineer for an insta-cap of that MCV to heal it back up to full health as the Orcas are coming in, and they're just getting slaughtered. The Titans are going for the crush, and Alibaster is trying to reclaim his lead in this game, but unit after unit falls. The MCV gone. He may be struggling to close this game out as his Orcas were not the saving grace that he was hoping they were. Another Titan falls just to mass rocket numbers, and there's not enough riflemen here to clean up these rockets, so somehow, some way, Thanatos has stabilized very nicely. And Orca's now going to be coming in for another bombing run on these double income harvesters, but they've got free repairs now from the war factory, and it does matter. I almost said it doesn't matter, but it does matter, just barely surviving. And if there's another Orca here, well, it's also not enough. What an incredible story for that harvester to tell, as this may just be totally over for Alibaster. He does have an Orca strike coming down on a big clump of this infantry, which will thin out the numbers, and the Harvester may actually clean up the rest of the kills. A fully heroic rocket squad getting crushed there, and a veteran rocket squad earning his marks as the MCV does survive. The attack has been pushed back, and for now, the Orcas are going to clean up a couple of pit bulls before they themselves get eliminated. And all of the Orcas go down. The pit bulls clear the skies. And Thanatos, I guess he's been able to stabilize, but at the same time, he doesn't have a whole lot left to actually go for the kill of Alibaster. So these two guys might be in a bit of a stalemate situation. And as you can see, that was a second MCV that went down earlier for Alibaster. So I guess Thanatos is all right, and I guess Alibaster has maybe spent a little bit more money than he could actually pay for. He's got this field which he can reclaim over on the right side of the map. He needs to push these pit bulls further away. He needs to stop Thanatos from stopping him from harvesting that field, because they both have access to Tiberium, you know, thousands and thousands of credits worth of Tiberium. But I'm not sure if Alibaster will have enough time to claim all of that Tiberium. Nope, he sells off on the right side of the map. His new plan is to expand over here to his opponent's original main base and do what he can. Gosh, this is such a weird game that this has turned into. Thanatos with a huge infantry army may be able to just crush through, but he doesn't have much more than infantry. He's got a couple of Predator tanks mixed in here, 4 or maybe 5. No, just the 4. Looks like Harvester's running away, and Alibaster has been defeated. Thanatos' army unmatched in those last moments. And I guess the Hammerheads were helping out a little bit there at the last moment, pulling in Hammerheads just to help round out his army. What a weird game that turned into. Alibaster ahead in economy for most of that, and then I guess this blue tib causing these big spikes upward for Thanatos. And resources, I mean, they were even in the beginning of the game, and then Alibaster pulls ahead, but then as that third base dries up, you can see he just levels off, and in the last couple of minutes, they had both spent their armies, but Thanatos actually had active income, and big active income as well. So they both wasted their army, but then the case was who could actually rebuild after that? And the answer, of course, was Thanatos, and we saw those big infantry swells doing a good job. So that will do it for game number 3. Let's jump into game number 4. Thanatos in the lead 2-1. Which takes us to Tournament Odyssey for game number 4. In the top right-hand corner as the purple marked of Kane, this is Thanatos. I was really hoping that he was going to sell something off, and then there would be an Awakened squad there. And on the left side, that's right, once again, as the pink black hand, this is Alibaster. From your perspective, it's been mere moments since the last game, but from my perspective, it's been like an hour, and had to pack up the old baby Bert and send him off his way, which he was just going with his mother with my wife, his mother, to the in-laws' house, and then I will be joining them later after I record some games and do some stuff for work. So it's been a minute, but this series feels very weird. It feels like these games are starting out standard, and then they just go in somewhat strange directions. And we will have to see if that trend continues. As you can see, 2 spikes per player, relatively close to each other. Pretty safe grabs either way, and we do have scouting buggies going to be heading out for both teams, or at least scouting units of some kind for both teams. That poor Awakened squad gets slaughtered by those Cabals. And it's going to be 2 refineries, War Factory, into the Expand for Alibaster. Thanos doing pretty much the same thing on the other side of the map. It's always nice to sometimes see these, or to, on occasion, see these sub-faction matchups where you get to see, you know, Zocom versus Steel Talons, Black Hand versus Marked of Kane, or even Reaper versus Traveler. And in this case, it's going to be bikes versus bikes, which, you know, if the EMPs are good, can give the advantage to the Marked of Kane player. But if they are not, then it can give the advantage to the Black Hand player, because Cabals actually do a decent amount of damage to bikes with that, of course, paper-thin armor. And one bike gets jumped on by Alibaster, gets an easy kill there. It looks like Thanatos is going to have maybe a little bit of trouble if he gives too many more bikes away. Harvesters are in good health for the current moment, and I have no idea whose bikes are whose. I think these are mostly Thanos' bikes at this point. But, yeah, okay, so they clean up the last couple of bikes from Alibaster, and I guess that attack is over and done with for the current moment. Double War Factory from both players. More bikes starting to pump on out. And up to our 5 Harvesters on that main field for Alibaster. Refinery should be coming down relatively soon for him over on this expansion field. There's no Harvesters just yet, so these bikes are here a touch early from Thanatos. And, well, they will get chased away at the current moment. He's keeping them around for at least a little while longer, but giving away a couple of bikes is Alibaster. So Thanatos, when there actually are Harvesters to kill, may actually have a bike advantage, although as we can see, that can swing one way or the other very quickly in these almost nod mirrors. Yep, so things are looking pretty equal between these 2 players. First refinery is down, which could definitely give the numbers advantage to Thanatos if he has been actually producing consistently bikes and buggies. Then he would have more because he didn't spend the money on a refinery. But in this case, it could actually end up benefiting Alibaster if this Harvester is allowed to get a couple of loads of Tiberium in. That's a suspicious engineer. I was just going to say, I don't know where the MCV packed up to and walked away to, but it is going to be not an MCV cell all in, but kind of a variant of it where you actually get 2 bases, 2 war factories spread across the refineries, and then a refinery over here at your expansion. So this is kind of a weird MCV cell. Alibaster with a couple of bikes in the north here at the very edge of the map, going to be looking to potentially swing in, but he's also got a second group potentially hitting the main base of Thanatos, which could open up a big opportunity for him. Well, I don't know. It looks like Thanatos, for now, is aware of the 1 attack group, but maybe not the 2nd attack group. There's just 2 Scorpion tanks as 1 just spawned in, which could create a huge opportunity either here or there on the left or the right side. 2 more Scorpion tanks going to be the defensive measures over there on the left side, and the bike buggy swings in for both players. It's going to be a lot of carnage here as 1 Harvester does go down, and a second one goes down there. It gets eliminated. There are still 2 fresh Harvesters harvesting away at this field. And it looks like, for now, Alibaster will be getting pushed back. Thanatos also going to be selling off his MCV, so it's equal MCV cell situations here for these guys into the Scorpion tanks for both of them. Almost completely gone on the main fields are both players, and this is all Thanatos here. These, I don't know, 6 Scorpion tanks and then 4 or 5 buggies and 5 or 6 bikes, it looks like. So good numbers of forces. Not a whole lot going to be swinging in for a potential counterattack for Alibaster. Right off the gate, it looks like Alibaster maybe has more Scorpion tanks, but less of everything else, which, you know, again, as we've seen in many, many Nod games, that can swing back and forth. Just because you have the advantage in this moment doesn't necessarily mean that you will get to keep that advantage. And going to be grabbing a defensive turret. Both players are actually doing that exact same thing. So that's what their MCV cell engineers are for. Could go ahead and sell off one of these refineries at home. Just get a little bit of extra cash. And then, of course, all of the harvesters get transferred to the natural expansion. I guess Alibaster is doing that right now. Okay, so that's where those harvesters went. Big swarm, Scorpion tanks, buggies, bikes for each player. A couple of battle markers erupting. It looks like a group of Scorpion tanks trying to sneak in for Alibaster. Thanatos is aware of it, and he's got his own Scorpion tanks here ready to respond. But, of course, you always have to wonder, is that going to open up an opportunity on my other base, my natural expansion? And for now, it's a paltry group of bikes and buggies. And Thanatos, able to catch Alibaster out, will be able to destroy a number of Scorpion tanks here. Possibly all of these Scorpion tanks. Yes, they will go down as Thanatos catches up and will be able to crush the army of Alibaster. And that may be it for Alibaster, as losing that much of your army, well, he still can swing, and a potential counterattack could do big damage, but it's going to get caught by this buggy group from Thanatos, and this may be the end for this attack, although they do swing north. That's 4 bikes, so they have decent harvester killing potential, but not game-ending killing potential necessarily. Big group of Scorpion tanks for Thanatos, now attacking the original main base of Alibaster. Not actually going to claim that Harvester. I thought for sure he was going to get the kill on that Harvester. But no, the Harvester does manage to escape. I think this is Thanatos chasing down Alibaster? I don't know. No, it looks like that is all Thanatos. It's not actually anything from Alibaster. Both of the tip spikes surviving for both players, which is nice for them both. Thanatos may actually... Well, I was going to say... Yeah, he can't actually produce any Awakened Squad. I was going to say those EMPs could be big in any future Scorpion tank fights, but Alibaster once again giving up a couple of Scorpion tanks here, although Thanatos has a ton of very low health. Oh, the MCV was rebuilt. He's into a Hand of Nod. He actually got the Operations Center up and running, which means he could be going straight to Tier 3, which you don't get laser capacitors, but you do potentially get other tools, even a Redeemer, if we're able to stick around in this game that long, which would help break the Scorpion tank armies. And the MCV rebuilds, it looks like, were very closely timed to each other. So now it takes the Scorpion tank advantage that Thanatos had, and it diminishes it somewhat. He did get Dozer Blades pretty much right out of the bat, and that will definitely help him in future engagements, but what is this, like 5 rocket squads and a couple of Cabals moving out into the middle of the map. They're going to get just crushed by these Scorpion tanks. They do claim 1 Scorpion tank. Even a second one gets eliminated, and some of these are so weak that a third might end up dying. Oh my gosh, he actually gets a 3rd Scorpion tank for that little group of infantry in the middle of the map. Operations Center is nice. Taking a 3rd base is even nicer. Couple of bikes going to be coming in. This is a great move for this, like, 4-bike hit squad. Again, you know, it's not game-ending. You don't kill all of the Harvesters in just a flash, but you do kill them pretty quick enough that your opponent better have something to respond to. Down in the south side of the map, this is a much healthier dose of bikes going to be swinging in here, getting at least 1 Harvester kill, maybe 2 or even 3, as it looks like in the north, almost pushed back, but not quite pushed back far enough, as the Scorpion tanks turn around and then turn around again. Another Harvester maybe going down here in the north. 1 more shot will finish it off, but it doesn't quite land. I think these may be actual equal numbers of Harvesters down. In the end, it looks like it's going to be 5 down here in the south for Alibaster, none over there at the main base, and 6, at least 7 harvesters total for Thanatos. So economic advantage shifting to Thanatos for sure, but the MCV is now on the move. A third field could be the shot in the arm the Alibaster needs. Again, if he maintains attack advantage, if he does, well, we also got Secret Shrine at some point. Got himself some upgrades there that way. He's still got the Operations Center, which means he could go Tier 3, he could go Epic Unit, and that could be the way that he wins this game. Thanatos, you know, he's marked of Kane. He's got some disadvantages, but one of the advantages is cheap and plentiful EMPs. But we're just not seeing that, so in these engagements, there is, you know, the potential for EMPs to play a big part, and they simply are not. We could also see just a big, huge man spam transition because there are so many Scorpion tanks. So then you use your Scorpion tanks to try and body block for your rocket squads, and your rocket squads do the more efficient damage to your opponent's Scorpions. Bikes once again going to be coming in for Alibaster. A big group of them gets, well, 4 of them do get locked down by that EMP, but it didn't even matter because the Harvester died anyways. And I would say the Harvester advantage would go to Thanatos, but he actually has had this guy, as you may have noticed earlier, sitting there for quite a while doing literally nothing. Engineer over here, 2 of them on the left side of the map for Alibaster, it looks like. No, they're for Thanatos, and they're getting chased down, so they will end up falling. They do die, basically, for nothing. Back over here on the right side of the map, it looks like the battle marker is just the infantry hanging out in that base, and Fanatics now even being produced to try and save this Conyard, and rarely are Fanatics the part of a well-balanced build order. Most of the time they're sort of reactionary or panic Fanatics, as they are now trying to chase down Scorpion tanks. Thanatos feeling a bit pressured, feeling a bit rushed as these Scorpion tanks put pressure on the MCV, and will be cleaned up for now. I guess this kind of stabilizes things, maybe even switching back to Alibaster as he's got the unharassed 3rd expansion, although the army advantage is going to suddenly swing back into Thanatos' favor as he's got a huge Scorpion tank mass. Alibaster does kind of pull back, but actually Thanatos pulls back more, so I guess he's more worried about it. A couple of rocket squads mixed in here could be causing a bit of a flank, a bit of a problem there for Thanatos, and Thanatos has so many Scorpion tanks, but he's just not doing anything with them. Bikes still on the hunt for Alibaster. You have to hand it to him. He has been pretty consistent with this bike harass for the last couple of minutes. EMPs now going to be a factor in this battle. No, not really, as the EMPs fire off, but not many tanks actually go down because of it. A lot of low health tanks on the side of Alibaster, and he is going to be able to clean up this original main base of Thanatos. So Thanos will not any longer have that kind of low income from the right side of the map. Another EMP, but not a particularly strong one, considering that there's nothing to actually kill the units. 2 refineries up and running, lots of harvesters, so this is pretty solid, steady income for both players, but I think it's been running a little bit longer for Alibaster, although he may end up just giving it all away if he just loses Scorpion tanks. Fanatics rushing in Scorpion tanks and EMPs locking down this right flank for Alibaster. Thanatos has the numbers. If he can just crush this army, if he can just push in and clean it up, then he could probably walk across the map and just kill the other guy. As Alibaster's shrinking Scorpion tank numbers, even getting EMP'd when they're so low in numbers, and Thanatos running away with this game, and it looks like he's going to be able to crush everything that's here. Alibaster, if you don't have something up your sleeve, I'm not sure how he's going to pull this one out. Oh, wow, actually, This number of Scorpion tanks looks fearsome, but it's actually like 3 shots away from being half as many. So a couple of these rocket squads getting a couple of shots off, able to clean up some of these Scorpion tanks, and of course the power of Black Hand, the man spam, is unmatched. And actually a couple of Scorpion tanks sneaking into the... No, bikes. Just bikes, no Scorpion tanks. Those are on the side of Thanatos. How many harvesters did he lose? He's... Oh my gosh, is he down to 1 harvester? That is a lot of damage. My gosh, that's so much damage that he just did to those harvesters. Alibaster, actually, he's kind of okay. If he can draw this out a little while, because again, keep in mind, a couple of these Scorpion tanks are just mere moments away from death, and suddenly the good Scorpion tank numbers of Thanatos explode into nothing as Alibaster pulls that game out. What a great harassment on those Harvesters near the end of that game. And Thanatos, right about there, I'm guessing, is where those bikes snuck into that base, unbeknownst to me, and killed those Harvesters, flatlining the economy. And then his Scorpion tank army, which initially did look very powerful, was actually less powerful than it looked, purely because they were so low on health. And that will do it for game number 4, as I guess that ties us up 2-2, and that will send us into the ace match. Thanatos versus Alibaster, Game 5 is coming right up. Which takes us to Tournament Airstrip for the ace match for the final game of this series. On the left side, as the Cyan Nod, this is Thanatos. And on the right side, barely visible on the minimap, as the Orange Reaper 17, this is Alibaster. Finally getting dealt a Scrin faction. A couple of buzzers going to be moving out. You got yourself a Tib Spike over there in the corner. Not really the corner. On the edge of the map. And then it looks like there's a contested Tib Spike in the middle. So if you want 2 Tib Spikes, you can have them, but you might have to fight for it a little bit here. Tournament Airstrip, it's been around for a while. I don't know, I think this was like 2014 kind of a map. I don't know that we've seen it too much recently. Also, this could be like edits from the original version of this map oh so long ago. I don't actually know. And I'm glad to see it. Always nice to see some additional maps. And we'll just have to see how this game goes. Sometimes in series, you end up on, you know, if it goes to the final match, Game 5, Game 7, whatever, you can end up in a situation, especially if it's loser picks for the map, that people have gone through the maps that they like the most, and then the last map is one that's kind of weird. And normally that doesn't happen so much in Kane's Wrath because there are so many maps. But it could be that, I guess, Thanatos may have chosen this map, and he may be a little bit more comfortable with this map, but it's fairly standard, so other than, I guess, your third base is very small field, but fairly standard map overall. Once again, pretty standard opening from these guys. And for the one person who's going to ask, why don't they build a growth accelerator? It's because they usually don't pay off. They have very little health, or I guess very little armor, I don't know. As a building, they're very easy to kill, and, you know, they cost a bit. Reaper 17 do have the one that generates income, kind of like a Tib Spike, so you see those get built more than the regular growth accelerators, but still, wouldn't be surprised if we did not see a growth accelerator in this game. They just generally aren't cost-effective. And someone will probably still ask anyways. But now it'll be some cheeky bloke asking for those reasons, not because they really are interested. One harvester full of blue Tiberium, and no harvester full of blue Tiberium. So, they both had to drive out there. But Alibaster is the one who actually got the money for it. Thanatos, on the other side, on the other hand, did all the work, spent all the time, but got nothing for it. Lightning Spike going to be coming down, which actually will greatly improve the chances that these Seeker tanks... Ooh, that was two bikes at once because they were so low on HP and stacked up on top of each other. So these Seeker tanks are actually kind of scary, especially with the repair drones here. This is a dangerous attack coming out from Alibaster. In moments, it got transformed into a dangerous situation. Scorpion tanks are now here. One Harvester almost certainly will go down, but there's going to be force fields popping up on these Seeker tanks, which give them even more survivability. The Lightning Spike, even more pressure, even more damage as 2 Harvesters go down. 2 Scorpion tanks may also be eliminated alongside of their Harvester Nod brethren. And no, it's just going to be 3 Harvesters, and there's still 5 Seeker tanks alive in this attack. This has gone phenomenally well for Alibaster. So well, even losing all of these Seeker tanks. He spent money on the Lightning Spike, on the repair drones, sure. but he has certainly gotten value for them. May even clean up another bike or two. Almost certainly another bike. Yeah, he gets both of them. And I guess that'll be it for these Seeker tanks, but every single Seeker tank almost earned a 1 veteran status. So that was a big investment by Alibaster, but I haven't done the math on that, but I'm pretty sure that paid off for him so nicely. No, you don't. You do not. That would have been ridiculous. If he got the kill on that Harvester, that almost would have been like a GG kind of a moment. Wow, full of Tiberium, that close to death. And yeah, as you can see, Thanatos is like, I gotta get this guy full of Tiberium back to a refinery immediately. It looks like another load of blue Tiberium may have been stolen by Alibaster, so he may have gotten even more blue Tiberium under his belt, which of course just means his green Tiberium is going to last that much longer. His natural expansion will, he's got that extra bit of income without having to take it from his green field. Wow, those repair drones reset really quickly. Operations Center sell-off as a Black Hand squad is going to try and flame down some of these Seeker tanks, which can work, but it may not be fast enough to save these Harvesters. One goes down, and I think in the total count, that's like Harvester number 4, maybe even number 5 into this game, forcing the sell-off of a refinery, and this Harvester to run further and further away, as this is a total mess of Scorpion tanks, and even a couple of militant squads getting in on the action. This one Black Hand member is all that's left of that squad from when it was sold off, and this is so much damage output by Alibaster, just a non-stop onslaught as he is just killing tank after tank. These repair drones almost being abused in this situation. They are doing so much work. And even though the Scorpion tanks may keep coming, it may not even matter because this is just so much scrin here. You have to hand it to Alibaster doing so much with scrin in the early game. Gets one Harvester, and a second Harvester is about to be killed. The Lightning Spike adding insult to injury. Wow, what a destruction. What a shutdown of Thanatos. 4 games that were neck and neck for most of them, that were back and forth, that were not 7 minutes long. 4 games of even keel kind of play. And then Alibaster just steps forward and punches his lights out. That was not even close after the first little bit. And I mean, you can see the economy is relatively similar. Then suddenly, 4.5 minutes in, or whenever that attack started, it just slips for Thanatos, and then it starts flatlining. And, wow, that first attack did enough damage that Alibaster was in a great position. You add on to that the blue tib that he was able to long-distance harvest. It's just feeling really good for Alibaster. And then suddenly, you slap onto that the fact that Thanatos didn't have any real defensive units to hold off the sheer numbers that were attacking his natural expansion, and an incredibly nice execution by Alibaster. So, a great series to both of these guys, but man, you gotta hand it to Alibaster. What a showcase in that last game, and that will do it for semifinal number A. Number A? Semifinal A. We're going to be jumping into semifinal B, from your perspective, if you're watching this in just a couple of days, or right now. But thank you all very much for watching, and this is Sybert signing out.